So for this live demo, I have a split application that I'm an admin of. This application has a bunch of users that I have. If you just explaining a little bit about here, we have a bunch of users that are in the active status. We have a few that are inactive and some that have been invited to use Split but have not accepted the invite. The other thing that I have already set up here are administrators, as well as an additional group that has a few members. And through this demo, I will walk you through how to set up SCIM and then see the users and groups that are set up in Okta reflect here. So the first thing to do to set up SCIM would be to go on to, so you would come here onto the admin settings tab, go to the security under organizational settings. We are enforcing that SAML be enabled for your org for this feature to work. The SAML strict mode flag should also be checked. So this is a prerequisite to turn on SCIM. Here is the SCIM tab next to the SAML. And to enable SCIM, all you have to do is hit on. So once you do that, you have two pieces of information here. One is the access token, as well as the SCIM connector base URL. We're going to use these two to go over to the Okta side and set them up. So on the left-hand side, I'm signed into my Okta administrative console. And I'm going to start enabling SCIM in Okta. So the first thing I'm going to do is on the general tab, on the app settings, I hit edit and enable SCIM provisioning. I save that. As soon as I save that, I get a provisioning tab. Here, I'm going to edit the connection between Split and Okta. So the SCIM connector base URL, this is something I'm going to pick up from Split. So I'm copying this over. The unique identifier field for users is email, all smalls. Supported provisioning actions, I'm going to check all of these. And then in the authentication mode, I pick up HTTP header. And then the authorization, I'm going to copy the access token presented in Split over to Okta. Once I do that, I test the connector configuration. It tells me that the connection was configured successfully, and I hit save. All right. Once I have done that, I'm going to go to the to app settings. So provisioning to app, this is from Okta to Split. I will enable create users, update user attributes, as well as deactivate users, and save that. All right. For the groups, there's an additional setting that we will be doing. So on the push groups tab, there's a settings icon, and I'm going to uncheck renaming app groups to match group name in Okta. So this allows us to have different names within Okta and in Split. With that, I'm going to go to my assignments tab. So since there were a few users that were already assigned in Okta, now you would see this red icon against this user telling you that this user was assigned to this application before provisioning was enabled, that is before SCIM was enabled. And so the linking is not yet established. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the provision user that will link all of these users that are assigned to the application in Okta to reflect on the Split side. This gives me a message that it's going to sync all users at the same time. Once I do that, I'm going to go back into Split and refresh my Okta as well. All right. So as you can see, a few things happened here. So I have 3 users on the SCIM Okta side. Those 3 users are now here as well. And I see that all these 3 are now managed via the IDP. this user does not exist in Okta and I'm going to add that as an assignment here and push that across as well. There were a bunch of invites that were in pending state. Those users, those invites have been revoked, and to add any new users to Split, you would have to go and add them here. So I'm going to demonstrate adding a new user from Okta to Split. So I'm going to find Trish and assign her here. And once I do that, that user should come across. There you go. So as soon as I assign Trish to the app in Okta, I see her here as well. The next thing I'm going to show is pushing groups. So here I have 2 groups created with different members. So we have administrators with 2 members, which are Ankur and John, and then another group with 2 members that are user 21 and 22. So before I start pushing groups, I will hit the refresh app groups button. This helps Okta get a list of groups that are available in Split onto the Okta side, so you can do any linking if you need to. So I have already created a group in Okta called SCIM webinar group. I'm going to push this group over to Split and make it a brand new group. So here I've selected the create group option and I hit save. So this gives me a message that it is pushing, and now this should be active. So going back to Split, I check the groups. I do have a new group here. There is a small indication that this group is now synced via Okta, and the last time that it was synced. This group is now again in IDP managed group, and the only action you can do on this group is to view it. And you cannot edit the membership of this group. To do any changes to the group, you would have to go back to Okta. So if I went into the group in Okta and added one more person here, so I have user 23. Let's do user 22. And with that, I'm going to see if that user got skimmed over to the group. So you can see that this group got updated with these 2 users. So we've seen a few cases demonstrated today for users being managed via Okta. The last case that I'm going to demonstrate is deactivating a user in Okta to show up in Split as well. So let me go back and in my assignments, remove one of these users. So I'm going to remove user 21 from this application. So as soon as I remove that user from this application within Okta, I expect to see that user disappear from Split as well. There you go. So user 21 no longer exists as a user within Split. The last use case that I would demonstrate is linking a group. So within here, I'm going to create a new group. And this is going to be my webinar admins group. So here I'm going to assign Trish as a user to the webinar admins, and assign John and myself. Okay. On our side, the administrators group includes 2 people. it's Ankur and John. So I've now, I'm trying to update the administrators group to now reflect Trish as well. So to do that, I will have to link the two groups. So I go back to my applications. And in my application, on the push groups tab, I'm going to find the group by name. So the group I want to pick up from Okta is called Webinar Admins. And then it gives me an option to link group. Once I choose link group, I'm going to pick administrators and save. This is going to link the webinar admins group to the administrators group within Split. This tells me that this should be done. So I refresh the administrators group within Split. And now this group is managed via Okta, and I see Trish reflected as. So as you can see, there's an Okta bill right next to it, and it tells me that it was synced, when it was synced, and that it has 3 people that can only be managed via Okta.